I just want to say hello and welcome to the first of the SPDM webinars for 2021. We just want to give a little introduction to the SPDM and then we'll go on to our first presentation. The Society was founded in 2019 and its vision is to inspire lifelong learning, advanced knowledge and careers for data managers within the oil and gas industry and the wider energy industry and promote equal standing with other professional disciplines. Whilst our purpose is to provide technical petroleum data managers with the means to grow their careers and competencies through professional development, community events and meetings and shared knowledge. My name is Jane Hodson. I will be your facilitator for this online webinar and I will ensure questions are collated and discussed and that house rules are followed. And we just want to say that a few ground rules to start with. Presenters are not allowed to use these talks to promote themselves or their products or services. Presenters should support statements with facts and follow normal academic standards. Where what is presented as an opinion, it should be identified as such and contrary viewpoints highlighted. Attendees, please switch to mute when not asking a question. This provides better sound quality for everyone and feel free to ask questions when these are called for by the facilitator or the presenter. You may also submit questions through the chat function, which is the preferred choice. These sessions, including the questions and answers, are recorded and will be made available afterwards. And if you ask a question, you are therefore deemed to have provided consent for the recording and distribution. I just want to hand over to our presenter, Khushal, to introduce himself and welcome you to the webinar. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I welcome you on behalf of this webinar and hope everyone is keeping themselves safe. So first I'd like to give a brief introduction about who am I. So I'm Khushal, working currently as a data officer in Plan. Yes, my background is petroleum geosciences. Did my bachelor's from India and then worked a bit for India in multiple companies and then moved to Norway for pursuing my master's in petroleum geosciences. And after that, have been working in Plan as data scientist and data officer. So I wanted to first give you a perspective of what mentoring is for me and why we are starting this program, and everything will come later. But first I wanted to give my perspective. And wanted to share my experience, like how mentor-mentee relationship is being, is helping me grow in my career. First perspective is from the eyes of where a person was a mentor. I met I would say a person in ECIM conference in 2017, and we gradually connected on many topics like how technology is changing geosciences workflows. The person is from geosciences background, and we are still connected through various means. It started as a formal relationship and turned into a more informal relationship. And I mean, instead of, in spite of being a different time zone, he and me, we are still being connected and still share our similar passions, like what are the trends that are going on in the industry, career path that one can take. And of course, at that time, I was also discussing master thesis ideas because I was just about to start my master thesis as well. On the other side, mentee as well. I connected to one person when I was giving my Python online course in 2020, and the person was she was studying, I think, drilling in India, and it was still again a formal relationship that started as a kind of mentoring, and we connected on different topics like. She wanted to make a web app for drilling data, and I was just helping here and there, like how you can use different data sets to create different type of visualizations that she wanted to work on her thesis. And another topic was skills to learn in data science. So my main objective to tell you about this perspective was that mentoring is kind of very personality oriented thing, and it differs from person to person. And of course, there will be contrast in personalities, and that's where you can grow as a person in terms of leadership and in terms of growing in terms of the skills itself. Moving on to that, I wanted to know your perspective as well. And if you don't mind, please feel free to go to this website, menti.com, and use the code 5341474. I'll just write it in the chat so I can go there. Menti.com 53. And I guess when you go to the website, you will and use this code, you will get a question like, what are your expectations from a mentoring service? And it will be great if you can all answer like, what are your expectations, or how have you grown in terms of your in mentor-mentee relationships or different programs? I think 1 minute will be sufficient if everyone can please complete this within 1 minute. We have started getting some answers: guidance, growth, advice on career path, provide mentoring to the younger generation. That's good. Again, guidance. Hope everyone is planning to answer because we have 14 people apart from me. Exposure to different fields, provide guidance on work and education options for mentee. Advice on career path, something similar. So I can see there's quite a common points that we can inherit from the expectations from our audience as well, that their expectations in terms of guidance, career path, and I mean, they want to introduce to different resources, or like what can a person pursue as a mentee, different education options or different skills that they can gain in the industry. So that's good to know. And while going through the presentation, you will feel like that's why we are starting this service in data management. And I will go through all the reasons why we are starting this service. Thank you for using the this survey, and there will be another question at the end, so don't close the link right now. But moving on to now, what is a mentoring service? So there are different types of mentoring services, and as I've shown my perspective as well, that relationship varies from individual and case to case. There are different types of mentoring that one can pursue. Collaborative relationships, like in terms of one-on-one mentoring, group peer mentoring, speed mentoring. Peer mentoring is something probably you might have accustomed in your organizations. But in terms of our SPDM mentoring program, we will be focusing on distance and one-on-one mentoring. We will be trying to connecting with one-to-one or one-to-two relationships, mentor to mentee, or of course, I mean, in this time, it will be mostly distance mentoring. So that is where we will be keeping our focus on. And so what is the SPDM mentoring program? The way why we started was the way to contribute to the data management community, in a program where you can share your industry insights, help professionals with your career direction. This was some of the point that you have also mentioned in your feedback, and learning skills that you generally not learn in your online courses or in your masters or bachelors. So that is something that where we would like to and we want to focus on in our this program, and that is where we will push our mentors and mentee to focus on growth and guidance. And of course, the mode of communication for mentor and mentee will be SPDM Slack channel, LinkedIn, email. Even I mean, once you grow a good bond within the both mentor and mentee, you can all of course go to for over call as well. But I guess Slack channel or LinkedIn will be the kind of preferred way to go in the start. So dwelling on some benefits of mentoring for both mentor and mentees, it gives you feedback and development guidance, skill development programs, career progression, identify professional growth opportunities, that these are the skills or these are the kind of programs that is going to be in the future, exposure to fresh perspectives, and exposure to fresh perspectives can be both from mentor side and mentee side. It doesn't need not to be from mentor to mentee, but it can be kind of a reverse mentoring as well. That is also something very important that we will be focusing on, that how a mentor can also upskill themselves in areas where mentee is growing, right, and build a potential lifelong relationship, because at least from my perspective, that's where you can build a strong bonds with your mentor and mentees, that can take you to greater heights. Of course, with benefits, there come some shared responsibilities from both parties, and that we need to focus on. For mentor, I would say there should be responsibilities in terms of requesting mentee to have some agenda and discussion for each discussion or meeting. Set up like realistic goals with your mentee so that a mentee is able to achieve those goals, and sharing your best experiences or best practices with mentee as you have experienced in your life. And in terms of mentee, I would say we have to, or a mentee has to remember that uh, a mentor is a volunteer, and somewhere there needs to be some boundaries, like how much he can help, because at the end of the day he's a volunteer, and having realistic expectations from the service from both sides is very important, I would say, in this kind of voluntarily service. And being proactive in your meetings and in follow-up meetings is very important from the mentee side, because I mean, at the end of the day, mentor can just guide you. You are the one who has to overcome those goals, or set up those goals and finalize or achieving those goals. Now, how is the like mentoring process? Or I mean, ideally it's quite objective. The whole process is quite objective, and there's no defined boundaries, because it depends on the personalities of two individuals. So I would say the first few engagements are very important based on the career goals. uh, One good example I can give you is like one or two data science enthusiasts ask me, how do I start in oil and gas? That is like kind of a hot topic these days, and everyone who is doing a master's or bachelor's want to have some skills in data science. So I think the in this case the first step was to start with basics from data science, and not just for basics from data science, but to at the same time start working on oil and gas data sets. This is very common thing which people or students don't tend to follow, because they follow different data sets which is not related to oil and gas. So having these kind of achievable goals that can help you find your gain those skills on your data sets is something that you kind of having a realistic goals and expectations that I'm talking about. In terms of development plan, you need to plan like both mentor and mentee has to set up those has to achieve those goals in above setup, so that those goals what you have defined in the initial engagements are getting fulfilled at each step. It's not like that you whatever you decided in the earlier step in the initial engagement is just like going in the dustbin and not being followed for the uh, considerable period of time, because that's where you will see that your growth is happening with respect to what goals you have defined in your uh, I would say in your initial engagement. And keeping a log of those mentoring goals and what have you achieved and what have you not achieved in a considerable period of time is, I would say, is extremely important, because that's when you can gauge your how much you have completed your goals. And that's how you can you know come up with a more defined mentoring process. Of course, this is more like an objectively defined based on the personalities of two individual, but this is how you can give a skeleton to the whole relationship, and that's how you can, grow in the skills, or you can get guidance based on what you are planning to achieve. uh, I mean, of course, as I've been mentioning, that we should appreciate the different personalities of mentor and mentee, and there will be overlap and contrast of personalities. But also some similar some skills are required from both mentor and mentee side, and there will be some shared skills across mentor and mentee. For example, like in terms of mentee skills, I would say learning, showing initiative, learning quickly and showing initiative, following through what your mentor has been, advising you, guiding you, and managing the whole relationship is very important to have those skills as a mentee. And in terms of mentor skills, of course, you need to be a leader to, pursue your thoughts to your mentee, and inspire those skills to your mentee as well, providing correct feedback, guidance, and developing capabilities to the mentee, and opening new doors or new ventures for your mentee. And then there comes the shared skills. That is something like identifying the goals that are realistic, building trust, encouraging both parties, and listening actively. That is something that we identify as the kind of common shared skills across both mentors and mentee. Moving on to some of the suggested activities apart from setting your goals, that we have already discussed, like know each other and discuss mentee goals. I think there are some other activities that could be beneficial for the relationship. Like for example, uh, attending and discussing conference or events together. Because I mean, once you start going to or attending these virtual, of course, everything is happening virtual. So it's easy to attend these events as well, and discuss and find a common path where where you can find some places where you want to discuss these things with your mentor and mentee. Presenting on a topic of your interest to your mentor could be something. He can provide you more guidance in terms of presentation skills, or in terms of the topic itself that you have chosen. And updating resume, CV is something. If somebody is looking for a career, want to grow into a new role or something, then probably mentor can help you in that arena as well. And working on a project together is something that I think is quite beneficial. There are a lot many open source projects happening these days in the energy industry, and I mean, if both mentor and mentee are open to working on something, common grounds in as a project or something, then GitHub is kind of make your own repository and start working on some common project. That is something I think that's where you can make things happen in terms of uh, common goals that we are talking about. So these are kind of activities that you should, or a mentor mentee should, can participate. Then the path will not be as rosy as one can feel, and there will be some challenges in the path. Some of these prominent challenges that mentor and mentee can face are like, first of all, the planned meetings. Like there should be commitments and responsibilities. I mean, other commitments and responsibilities should not serve as an excuse for postponing a meeting. I mean, frequent postponing can discourage the other person to in thinking that the other person is not taking this relationship seriously. So that is something that is kind of a major challenge. And of course, we are having so many meetings virtually, so that is an additional challenge in this point of time. That is something that we have to be realistic on. And excessive commitment, if either mentor or mentee wants to meet more frequently than something desirable, that is something also a challenge. And aggressive scheduling from any side can hamper the relationship for a long time. So that is something that we should be, we should be open to discuss with our mentee, and both of the people should be open to discuss. and then setting an unrealistic expectations for a short period of time or a considerable period of time, that we want to achieve this goal and we have only this much time. So that is something we should not be expecting. And uh, expecting mentor to comment on minute details of each and everything is not something that is also something that I would say comes in uh, unrealistic expectation from mentee side, because as I mentioned earlier, at the end of the day, he or she mentor is a volunteer and he can just guide you. At the end of the day, it's your responsibility to take that guidance forward. So now, why this program? So uh, it is important also to why we are starting this program at the first place. So for that, I would like to go to rewind a bit and go through the purpose of the society. As Jan also mentioned in the introduction, that it's a society for data managers within the energy industry, which inspires lifelong learning, advanced knowledge and career, and professional development. And mentoring is one thing, as you have mentioned in the feedback, that professional development is something that you're expecting from the mentoring service, and mentoring program is something that fills the purpose of the society and fills the service of the purpose of the individuals that are seeking for this kind of program. And of course, data management is kind of like a backbone for the digital transformation that is happening in the energy industry. So it is very important to fill those data management skills gap in the mentee, so that in the younger generation, so that uh, the speed of the digital transformation is at quite is at a high speed, rather than more challenges in the strategy itself. And then way of working is also changing rapidly. Senior professionals have the opportunity also through this kind of program to gain exposure and visibility in these new arenas, because I feel somewhere, younger generation is also focusing on new technologies, which senior professionals who are working on something different has the advantage of learning these new skills through reverse mentoring. And that is where this is very important, because way of working is changing quite rapidly, as we can imagine. And of course, enhancing leadership and coaching skills and in current and future managers is something that we are looking to increase in our data managers within the industry. And that is why these were the key points that we thought of before starting this service, that what is the service that can initiate these key points. um, in terms of call to action or next step is like sign up as a mentor or mentee. For this, the like there's a web link which I can share in the message afterwards. And the questions that you should ask yourself, or at least the senior professionals should ask yourself, is should they apply only for mentor, or should they apply only for mentee as well? Because I mentioned that the technology is changing quite rapidly, so everyone should be open and ready to learn new technologies, and that is where reverse mentoring can help, and it can be a catalyst in this process. So one should really think before applying that, okay, should I apply only for mentor, or should I apply both as a mentor and mentee? So this is just a flowchart for gaining access to this SPDM mentoring program. One needs to be a member of SPDM. So if you are not a member, first we can become a SPDM member, and of course with that you get other advantages as well. And then sign up for the mentor and mentee. This SPDM mentoring committee will match you with the mentor and mentee based on the form that you have filled up in the first step. And after that, your journey will be started. One more question that I would like to ask before closing up the presentation is, if you are on the same slide, same mentee.com, I can go to next question. Would you like to be a part of SPDM mentoring program based on what we have discussed and everything? That's good. Nobody is saying no, which is good. I see there are 16 people, so I hope there are more votes in any of the three options. 13 is covered. Good. That's good. Yeah. So after this, I would like to keep the platform open for questions, feedback, and this is the first time that we are launching this SPDM mentoring program. So of course, we are open for new ideas to discuss, and anything that you would like to share, anything that I missed in the presentation that should be there as a part of mentoring program. We are open to discuss and include that and discuss on that. So please feel free to be open and feel free to yeah, just ask any question or any feedback that you would like to give. Over to you.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you very much for a great presentation, Khushal. And if anybody has any questions, please pop them in the chat now. Or if not, come join us if you're not a member. And I believe Fanula has been putting some links on our chat for the mentoring sign up. And also if you want to join this society, because if you want to be mentored or you'd like to be a mentee, a mentor or menteed, you have to become a member, and it's not that expensive. It's just 40 euros. So, and it's very well worth joining. Thank you very much, everybody. Any questions?
What would you say to potential participants who feel the fear of exposure? Oh, that's a good question. So if I understood you correctly, I mean, if there is a fear of exposure, then I would say this is the best place to start, because here you are having a one-on-one relationship, and mentor can actually understand you from in depth, like why you have that fear, and maybe mentor can help you in removing that fear so that you don't have that fear when you are in a program, or once you are learning those skills in a, for example, let's say in a big company where they are where you and where you have more exposure to learn more skills. So I would say this is the best place to start if you have a fear of exposure. Sakti says, initially, how often would you suggest the mentor-mentee plan to meet? Sakti, I would say, at least from my experience, I have done that initially over 3 or 4 week, once in 3 or 4 week, but I was having more realistic plans for the whole kind of 3 or 4 weeks, so that it's not like that I'm out of ideas, or in terms of mentee myself, that I'm out of ideas or I don't have things to cover. So it was not kind of an unrealistic timeline. So it's important, like whatever timeline that we are seeking to meet next time, we have enough work to do based on people's expectations.
I think there's another one here, Shal. It's I think it's Laurent saying, thank you very much for the introduction to the mentoring program. You also mentioned reverse mentoring.
Yeah.
Could be also considered in the future. Therefore, is there any condition to fulfill to become a mentor or mentee? Or any recommendation to get into it? Just, I actually way that, do you want to answer that, or?
I mean, sure, go ahead. Just to mention, Jan is also part of the mentoring committee, so she's she can answer that as well.
I'm just thinking, I don't think really any conditions, because I think it doesn't matter how much experience you have in our industry. We can all learn, and we can all take on aspects of being a mentor or being menteed. So I think if you want to give it a go and you want to be a mentor, I would just say apply for that. Put your name in, and put your name on the mentor form. And if you want to be menteed, do both or do either. I think we're all learning, no matter where we are in our stages of our career, and that we can learn from other people. So I'd say give it a shot.
I would like to add one point that I mean, the best for us will be, at least from the SPDM role, as you have mentioned, Laurent, will be like to provide the honest answers on the forms. So that, for example, like if you see the form, you will have like questions about your skills and what are you planning to achieve from this service. So as honest you will be in the form, it will be beneficial for us as an SPDM uh, committee to, provide you with the best available mentor or mentee. So of course, like if you're planning to fill up both, feel free to go ahead. Just like provide the answers like why you want to be a mentee, right? And why you want to be a mentor. That will help us a lot, and that will help you a lot in the future as well.
We've got another question about the matching process. Is there a deadline to sign up or a phased matching, or does matching happen on a regular basis?
Yeah, thank you, Sakti. I think I missed this question. I missed this point. I think I should have addressed this in the presentation, but thanks for asking. So matching process is based on the answers that you are providing, and in terms of answers, we have asked you in terms of your professional, I would say, interest and personal interest as well. And we also try to consider time zone as well, because we all know it's like kind of everything virtual and nobody wants to spend a lot of time virtually. So we would like to keep at least some consideration of time zones there as well. Plus, I mean, skills that you have gathered and the interest that you will be mentioning. And they right now we are not we haven't set up a deadline. We are more into rolling up basis. Since it's our first time, we don't want to be that much rigid on timelines. And we want to do it on a phased matching, as you are mentioning, that maybe once in a month or twice in a month. And whatever people who are interested, we are try to match it with the right person, right mentor mentee, or we mention them that we are not getting the correct match, and we have to find a correct match.
I'm just seeing if there's anything else. I think that it looks like we've had all our questions. It's just after 1:30.
One point.
Have you got more, Khushal?
Yeah, sorry. And I would also like to add, Kerry was also part of the SPDM mentoring committee. So yeah, so thanks to Kerry as well for his work in the presentation and overall for launching the service as well.
Yep. Okay, well, all I can say now is thank you so much for everybody who attended our webinar. We look forward to seeing you at our next webinar, and we really look forward to those who are going to look at either being a mentor, a mentee, or both, and look forward to seeing some of the forms coming in so we can actually have a really good start to our mentoring program for the SPDM. Thank you very much, and see you all soon.
Thanks, everyone.